Welcome to this iScaf tutorial, where we will explain how iScaf can generate a very accurate parts list. We can interrogate the parts list with a window. In this example, we have a scaffold already built to 8 meters high. For those that have used iScaf before, you know to go up to the ribbon, go to the quote panel, then click on quote. And we can window any area to interrogate the parts. For example, we can window the stair unit by clicking the top left corner and then clicking the bottom right corner of the stair unit. And this will give us the selection. And then we right click and that generates the material list for that stair unit. In a similar way, we can generate and interrogate the parts list by clicking on individual components. For example, if we click on this wall tie and we right click, it will give us the components in the wall tie on its own. Now there is a difference between creating a window left to right or right to left or clicking on individual components. For example, if we click on the quote button again, and then this time we will window from right to left. So when we window from right to left, anything that we touch will be included in the parts list. So if we left click on that and then right click to finish the selection, we will notice that 2 wall ties have been selected. This is because the wall is 8 meters high, so there are actually 2 wall ties in that elevation. If we had clicked on the wall tie directly, it would have only selected the top wall tie, showing the components in 1 wall tie. Let us look at another example now. If we click on quote again and window from right to left, we will see the rectangle is green, selecting a small area. So we have only windowed a small area, but we have actually selected 6 boards in the plan, obviously going down in elevation. So if we click on that and right click, we have all the parts going down in elevation, including all the components that we selected there. Now if we click on quote once more and window from left to right, notice the selection rectangle is blue and only the components that we completely surround are selected and included in the part count. So that is a difference between interrogating the parts and performing a selection from right to left as opposed to left to right. It is important to note that there are many configuration changes that can be made in iScaf that can change the way it generates components. Let us change the angle of view here. So we can see the wall ties there, and we click on the quote icon once again. We can window from right to left. See how we are actually interrogating those particular wall ties that we have selected. So this time we have selected 4 of those wall ties. Now if we change the 3D view again to view from the side as an example, here we can see that we have double diagonal handrails going up for the stair unit. And it may be that we are missing some of those handrails, and it is a configuration option in our module that can change it so that we can have a triple handrail instead of a double handrail. These are the sort of changes you can talk to us about. Going back to our wall tie example, we can also see that we can change our wall ties. So in plan, we need to make sure that we set our configuration correctly before we build plan or before we build 3D. In this example, We can see here we can select the different wall tie options in Extra Setup. We can detail this more in another video, but for the purpose of this tutorial, see how we can select the actual wall tie, the wall tie style, together with the actual wall tie length of the component separately. And then we can set the frequency of the wall tie as well. Again, that can be explained further as part of another tutorial. So we go back to our main drawing and we change our view back to our regular 3D view. We can generate the full parts list. So once we are sure that we have drawn the scaffold correctly based on our 3D view, and noting that sometimes we may want to perform separate customizations, but for now, let us view another material list showing parts in the entire drawing. We can also double-click on individual components to manually make a change. So for example, the first item here is a 3'3" hanging spigot. We can manually change the quantities to a number of our choosing. Make the change and the quantity is updated. Please note that these changes are only temporary. If we generate the quote again, it will revert back to the original quantity because it is not saved with the drawing. This will be explained more later. The other feature we would like to show is that we can perform a temporary percentage increase of all quantities. As an example, we can perform a 20% adjustment increase to our components and increase the quantities for the whole quote. Go to the Adjust field and type 20, and then hit the Recalc button. When you click Recalc, it actually resets all the quantities back to the original, which means that any edits made by double-clicking are reverted first before the percentage is applied. So that is why when we adjust it by 20%, it changes it from 5 and 8 to 6 and 9, as you can see there for those first two quantities. As another example, since the original quantities were 5 and 8, if we adjust this by 100%, press Tab, click on Recalc, it adjusts it to 10 and 16, which means it has doubled and adjusted those quantities by 100%. So that is how you can perform an increase of the entire quote. Please note that it will increase the weight and rental price as well. This ensures that your job has enough material, which also helps you avoid having to deliver extra in a separate delivery. So that is a very handy utility with the adjustment option here. The more permanent way to change the quantities in iScaf is to use extras. So once again, we query the full parts list for the entire drawing. And it refreshes to show the 1 metre standard 3'3" hanging spigot with a quantity of 5. We exit this screen and we go to the quote panel and click on the first option showing extras. And we search for our component. So we just scroll down a bit here and we find our 1 meter standard 3'3" hanging spigot. Double click on that and we can manually increase the quantities. So let us increase the quantity and add 10 more. Then click OK. And then we perform our quote on the entire list. We see that the quantity is increased by 10. And if we save this drawing, these extras are actually permanently saved with the drawing. So if we go back into extras, we can double click on the added items, remove them, and add different extras. So let us add 15 of those. We will go back to this one and add 15 of these as well. Extras can be so useful that some of our clients have saved a selection of extras in their initial template drawing. So click OK on that. Generate the quote again. And we can see our modifications to our quantities here. Please note that these extras are actually saved in level 0. So if we show level 0 here, we can see details of these extras. Now, if we go to level 2, we will find different components in there which could also be changed. You can view our tutorial on stages and levels for more details. The other way to add different components to a drawing is with the custom part option. Now, to use custom part, you need to be in the plan drawing. So let us reopen our plan drawing. So let us just save our 3D drawing. Exit our 3D drawing, and we reopen our plan drawing. So we can use custom part to add additional components to our drawing. We go to our custom part menu option, and we can add all these different types of custom parts, such as generic custom part and user custom part. So we can add a generic custom part as an addition to our components attached to a bay. Click on a bay for the custom part, and we can allocate the custom part once off by lift, or by individual deck or hop-ups, side brackets, or console brackets. So we can choose to do it by lift. Let us just select something different here. Let us choose to add some lifting lugs to our quote for this example. So let us include a lifting lug, and we specify 10 lifting lugs allocated by lift for that bay. Click OK. Let us add it in now, and let us also edit the custom part description. Click OK, and the custom part is added. You can also draw your own custom parts too. So with these options, as you can see, there are quite a few other custom part options available. So now that we have that custom part added, we can build this to 3D. And generate our parts list. We can see here we have 4 lifts, and we are allocating 10 lifting lugs for each lift. So when we go to our quote now, we can see here in the material list, the lifting lug is 40, which is basically 10 for each of the lifts. And there were 4 lifts, making it 40 as our modification with the custom part. And that concludes our presentation on parts lists in iScaf.